How to Boost Your Credit Score and Make Money with Credit Cards by Dr. Ernesto Martinez. That's me. Now, I wanted to explain a little bit why I wrote this book and why it can be of help to you. First off, it's one of my best-selling books on Amazon. I've written several books, and this one just took off. And I think a lot of times when you do things that are successful in your life is because you have passion or because you're trying to solve an actual problem or something that's going on in your life. In my case, I had a really good friend who's still one of my best friends, John. He was having a lot of problems with his credit. And I mean, people were calling him, they were bugging him, they were mailing him letters. And if you've ever had that problem or lived with someone, you know it's a nightmare. People were calling me all the time on my cell phone. I was wondering, how did they get my number? I don't even know how they got my number, to be honest with you. But they would call me looking for him. They would call the house I was living in with him at the time. They would mail stuff. I mean, it was constant. And understandably, you know, these credit cards, these banks, they want to get their money back. And, you know, I really felt sorry for him. And I lived through that with my brother. People were calling all the time. I remember my brother picking up the phone and using a fake voice and saying that he had died. And I thought, damn, that's really drastic. So I can understand it's really humiliating, and nobody likes being hounded for cash, you know, being treated like a deadbeat, basically. So I went into the library and I started doing some major research. I am fortunate enough to live next to the Los Angeles Central Library, where there's literally millions of books. And I started reading law books and tons of them. I read several dozen books to make this small book. And I thought to myself, you know, when I was a college professor, I used to read these huge textbooks on economics or whatever it is, the subject matter I was teaching. And I had to break everything down so that my students could learn. I couldn't present to them the stuff I was reading. I had to bring it in, decipher it, and water it down so they could easily assimilate it. 'Cause that's my goal. I wanted them to learn and be successful. So that's what the goal of this book is. This book, if I could get all the books I read to make this tiny book, it would fill everything behind me probably. They were huge. So basically the idea is I started doing some research, and then I started learning things that actually help myself. And I started applying it to things that I had, you know, experienced, and that's how I came up with this book. Let me give you one example. I had this horrendous accident. I broke my leg. I was assaulted by two guys. I went to the hospital and I saw some of my friends at the hospital, and they're like, "Dude, your family, we're gonna take really good care of you, but we need to amputate your leg." And I was like, "Damn, I don't want to amputate my leg." And they said, "If you don't amputate your leg, you're toast. You're gonna die." And I thought, oh man, not cool. So I got all the x-rays and the exams and everything. I looked up on the internet and I sent them to the top 7 surgeons in Los Angeles for the type of injury that I had. And all 7 of them rejected me. They said, "We cannot operate on that. You need to cut it off." Basically, my left leg was shattered into 32 pieces. And I had a lot of problems. I had compartment syndrome. It was really swollen like a balloon, circulatory problems, etc. So they told me, "You either cut it off or you die." And I was like, you know, I ended up not cutting off, long story short, but it did leave me in a wheelchair and in bed for like 9 months. And I thought it was going to be like 2 years. So I wasn't working, and I was a freelancer. I was working at like 16 hospitals and over 60 nursing homes. You know, when I was working, I made a good living, but all of a sudden I had zero income. And I had just got done paying some huge expenses. And this was around a time we were having a big housing boom in Los Angeles. And I really wanted to buy, or at least participate in buying with some friends, some properties. I could like take advantage of that. But of course, my credit at that point was still okay because I wasn't defaulting on anything, but I didn't have any money. And I was like, man, I'm going to miss out on all this stuff. And then, you know, my girlfriend left me, and I just had all these problems, and I was really bummed out. But like anything, whenever you're faced with challenges, you look ahead and there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Good things will always come out. Always. I mean, just always is like that. So I started thinking about it and I said, well, I have a lot of credit cards, but I don't have money to pay them back. And then I just happened to go to this party here in LA with my friend John and his mom. And I met this really cool guy. I remember his name was Mike Johnstone. And when he introduced himself, I said, wow, Mike Johnstone. I thought, whoa. To me, it was almost like hearing Brad Pitt or Jennifer Aniston or something. I met a lot of these famous people here in Los Angeles because they're people like you and I. You see them at the gym, you see them at the market, I see them in the hospitals, whatever. And this was different though. I never met this guy. This guy was a real estate agent that had Hollywood and basically the area where I live in Los Angeles plastered with his signs. He was selling and buying properties everywhere. That's how I recognize his name. We started talking a little bit and he asked me what my situation was, why I was like in a wheelchair. And I told him I had just had this really bad accident. And he was like, well, dude, what are you going to do? I said, well, nothing, man. I'm bummed out. I really want to buy some properties. I want to do some stuff, but I don't really have any money. And, I don't have any money coming in, so I can't prove to the bank that I can pay him back. And he said, no, don't worry. There's always money. There's money everywhere. And I was like, wow. So that was a paradigm shift for me. I went from thinking about, not having any money to all of a sudden thinking, hey, I could get unlimited funds if you just look at things properly. That's where the credit game came in. That's where I started thinking about what I can do. And he started teaching me about hard money, which I go into details in the book. But in particular, I leveraged my good credit to get hard money loans, which are basically loans where they're higher interest, but as soon as you're able to, you can refinance them and get them back into a regular loan. So it's really not a big deal. It sounds scary. I thought it was going to be like some guy breaking my kneecaps or something, but it wasn't. They're through regular banks. They're just higher risk loans, and they give you higher interest rates. But then I was like, okay, well, what do I have to do? Well, they're like, okay, dude, you need to put 50%, 25% down for these properties. And I was like, well, I don't have anything. I literally had nothing. I actually was thinking I was going to go bankrupt and I was going to lose everything. Because I was thinking about the next year and I thought, I don't have any money to pay my bills. I don't have anything to support myself. Luckily, I had decent credit. And with the strategies I wrote about in this book and that I learned through these law books, I increased my credit even more, so that I opened up the floodgates so that I could get more loans, more credit, and have more money to invest. Now, I needed cash because a lot of these lenders, they want you to put 10, 20, up to 50% down. Where was I going to get the money from? Well, that's where making money with credit cards comes in. Basically, what I did was I used my credit cards to get loans. I took loans on my credit cards. They'll give you these balance transfer offers. And it sounds like you have to transfer it to another credit card. Not necessarily. You can transfer it into your bank account. And the rates are great. I got some that were 18 months, so a year and a half. And there was zero interest. And they charge you 3% processing fee. So if let's say you borrow $1,000, they're gonna charge you $30. And a processing fee, but then you pay zero over the year and a half. So let's say you take $100,000 where you're going to pay $3,000. But if you look at it over a year and a half at 3%, that's like paying 2% a year. You're never going to get a loan at 2%. I mean, that's like amazing. So they were giving me 2% loans, and I got this money out of my credit cards. I increased my credit score. And I used that to put down payments on these properties. And that's how I was able to buy them. Using these hard money loans, using my credit score, and using my credit cards. And that combination allowed me to not only have time to heal without working, but actually grow financially. When I thought I was going to go bankrupt, I actually came out much stronger out of this situation than when I started. It was amazing. I could have never thought that you could do that. I guess I just didn't really understand how it worked till I did my research. I applied all my knowledge in finance and economics, everything I learned in business school, everything I learned in real estate investing. I kind of mixed it in with the credit game and with credit cards. So this book really made a difference in my life, and I wrote it and dedicated it to one of my really good friends, John Sendry. And I think it could help just about anyone else. And I think because I wrote it with so much love and good intention, people understand that. So that's why it's it is my top selling book on Amazon, because when people open up the pages or read the summary, they can feel that there's good intention there. It's not I'm not trying to sell any kind of product or get you into some type of training or anything like that. Nothing like that. I really just wanted to help people that were maybe down on their luck, experienced a traumatic event, had a massive, sad breakup with a girlfriend like I did, or had something else. We're all going to be down at some point in our life, right? Life is up and down. And I basically was really down, and then I came way up. And I wanted to share this book and this knowledge with people to be able to help someone else help themselves to get the life they want and to be happy and create more happiness in the world. So I hope this book helps you. And please, if you get a chance, please comment below. Let me know what your feelings are. And I'm happy to help out if I can with anything. So again, it's available on Amazon and several other websites. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it changes your life as much as it did for me. Thank you again. This is Dr. Ernesto Martinez from AttaBoyCowboy. Bye-bye.